Hey guys, so I wanted to make a video. This is going to be kind of weird for me since, first of all, I haven't really done any videos with like my face, so I'm kind of nervous about that. And I also haven't really done a lot of talking about this subject specifically because it's something that I can't really talk about a whole lot in real life with people I know. I just wanted to talk about, it was inspired by the Aspie World on YouTube. He's pretty cool, check him out. Probably does a lot better videos than me. I'm a little bit of an amateur. But I wanted to talk about, being on the spectrum and like Asperger's or like autism or whatever, and I wanted to talk about just some of the stuff that I experienced with that because I thought it would be interesting to do. So first of all, one of the things that I think is like a really big thing for me is probably like my interests, because I think people on the spectrum tend to have really obsessive interests, and if you can tell, my walls and like you've probably seen some from my toy videos, I do a lot of collecting of toys, and I have like a bunch of Pokemon stuff, so I think most of my like interests are like Pokemon, My Little Pony. I really like Care Bears now, and those are some of my really like my special interests, if you will. And it's something that's kind of weird, because like I'll have a friend come over and they'll come in my room and they're like, whoa, why, it's so colorful and it's got a lot of like childish stuff kind of everywhere. So that was kind of a big thing for me always. So I think that's kind of funny. I think everybody that I know, like, that's autistic has like, a very specific interest. And mine is definitely like Pokemon and kind of kid stuff a little bit. Some other things in the background I have like Super Monkey Ball right there, which is one of my big ones. I play the game a lot and I watch a lot of speed runs of it, and it's really cool. But sometimes people think it's a little weird when I talk about my interests a little too much. So that's kind of a big trait for me. Another one that I wanted to talk about was like stimming or fidgeting, I have a really bad problem with like picking at my face really bad. It's called like dermatillomania, and I've been trying to like channel it in different ways because I have like fidget toys and stuff, if you saw my first video on this channel. But most of the time I'm just picking at my face, and I have on my arms and my back and stuff, so that's really rough. But when I'm not, I usually like I'm not staying still, like I can never stay still for more than a couple seconds, and that's something that a lot of people kind of tease me for. So I have things like a tangle I can play with, or sometimes if I have paper nearby, then I'll be tearing the paper up, or I don't know, it's kind of a mess. So that's one of them. I'm actually trying really hard not to pick at my face right now. That's bad. I don't want to do that in a video. I think that's really common with, autistic people, is like constantly fidgeting and stuff. Another thing that I think is probably a big thing for me is like, I know that a lot of people have like motor skill problems. For my, like, I have really bad handwriting. I actually have this list that I made to kind of like talk about stuff, and it's just really messy. Actually, I don't know if it's gonna be mirrored. It might be mirrored since I'm doing the face cam, but my handwriting is really bad. Even though I can draw and I can do those, I can draw like details really well, but when it comes to like writing, it's just a mess. I heard that's like pretty common though, so that's kind of interesting to me. Let's see. Another thing that's kind of like a comorbid thing is like having really bad anxiety, and I've always had just the worst anxiety, and I think most people that know me kind of know this about me is that like I get anxious over really small things. Like as a kid I had a lot of like phobias. I was really afraid of bees, which is funny because I think they're really cool now, but I don't know, I always got nervous about stuff, and I think that's something that's really common. I don't know if I have as much like social anxiety, which I know is kind of common, but I'm so sorry about this. This is totally unscripted, so I'm just kind of rambling. I don't know how many people are gonna watch this, but I thought it'd be kind of fun to do. So yeah, I've got really weird things with like anxiety and stuff. Just in general, I always worry about everything, and that's, I think, something that's really common. Let's see. Another thing is, like, I've been kind of doing better about, like, social situations and, like, talking to people. I think my eye contact's probably pretty bad, but I've been trying to work on it, especially since I work in, like, retail. You know, I work in a movie theater, so I have to, like, look at people and talk to them a lot. But it's a lot easier since I'm kind of following, like, a script of, like, hi, what can I do for you? You know, can I get you some popcorn? That stuff's really easy. But when it comes to, like, talking to somebody, I get kind of awkward and I just feel, like, kind of freaked out about it. And that's something that's really tricky in my opinion. I don't really know how much to talk more about that specific subject. Something that is kind of like a, I think kind of a stereotype about being autistic is that, like, all people are, like, nonverbal. So, like, if you talk a lot, then you can't be on the spectrum. But me, I talk too much. And I kind of have since I was a kid, you know, like, I would just ramble on about, like, Pokemon or, like, a cartoon that I really liked or, like, a video game. So that's kind of funny. I actually don't know a whole lot of, like, people on the spectrum that are nonverbal except for, like, family members and stuff. Oh, that's another thing I wanted to talk about is I think it's a really common thing in families. I've noticed that on my mom's side, like, nobody's diagnosed, and it's not really, like, a thing. It was kind of, you know, like, I found out that I was probably on the spectrum when I was, like, probably, like, early high school or something like that. So, I don't know. It's kind of weird. But I think that most of the people on my mom's side kind of have the same traits as me, where everybody is really fixated on something like video games or something like that. So I think that's probably pretty common. And I know on my dad's side that anxiety is really common, so, like, it kind of goes hand in hand, I think. But, you know, like I said, I don't really have, like, a diagnosis. I just kind of found out by myself. So, like I said, it's kind of awkward talking about it in real life since I really only talk to, you know, about this with my friends that are kind of comfortable with the subject or also have the same thing as me. But I just thought it would be kind of fun to talk about because, like you said, the Aspie World on YouTube is really cool. And he kind of inspired me to, like, want to talk about stuff that I deal with too. I just I wish this was a little bit more scripted because I'm just kind of rambling at this point. Another thing that I thought was kind of interesting was when I was a kid, I had, like, some delays, like, I didn't know how to learn, like, I didn't know how to ride my bike until I was about 10 years old, and that might just be because I never really wanted a bike. I was a lot more interested in just sitting in my room and playing video games or drawing than I was in, like, doing physical activities outside like some other kids. But I learned how to read and write probably when I was around, like, 3 or 4 years old, which is really early. So that's something that I've heard is kind of common, is they call it, like, hyperlexia a little bit. And so that's something that I have, which is kind of funny. And, like, you know, now I'm probably about, like, average reading level, but when I was in, like, kindergarten, I was already reading chapter books and stuff, so that was something that's kind of a symptom, I guess. I'm just trying to think of, like, other stuff. I know that, like, when it comes to routines, I really like routines a lot. It's not as common anymore where I'll freak out if I have a routine, but there are some days where, like, I kind of have the day planned out vaguely, like, okay, today's gonna be a relaxing day, and I'm gonna stay at home, and I'm just gonna chill out. And then all of a sudden, you know, like, my family member or friend is like, hey, you know, I'm coming over, and then I'll just start panicking, which is a bummer. I don't really like that. So I think the routine thing's kind of not as big of a thing for me, but it is, you know, it is definitely a symptom. Another thing I really like is organizing. Something really big, like, in my room is I really like setting up all these walls behind me, and I have all of these shelves for, like, stuffed animals, and if you can see, like, behind me I have all my stuffed animals, like, arranged in a row. That's another thing where, like, I think some people kind of find it weird that a lot of my interests are really, like, little kiddish. I kind of tried hiding that when I was, like, early high school, and I got into high school, and I wanted to be, like, kind of cool, and I wanted people to like me, so I kind of stopped, trying to like all this, like, you know, My Little Pony and stuff, but later on I found out that that's just really what makes me happy. I kind of hide it a lot with people that I'm not super close with, but I think all of my close friends know that my room just kind of looks like that of like a 6-year-old's a little bit, but like things like bright colors and like kid stuff just really makes me happy, you know? So I think that's probably a thing, is like I found that stuff that I liked as a kid carries over later on, and I kind of, you know, have a hard time making new interests. You know, somebody's like, oh, you should watch this TV show, but really I'd, you know, just be more likely to just watch the same episodes of My Little Pony again. So that's just kind of me. I guess another thing that's kind of weird is I'm not great at eye contact. I don't know if I brought this up already. I don't remember a whole lot as like a kid, like specifically not liking it, but I just remember it just kind of always made me uncomfortable a little bit. Like, if there's like even like a video of somebody like staring very directly into you, kind of just makes me feel unnerved. And I've tried to be, you know, like I said, I've tried to be a little bit better about that. Even in this video, my eyes are probably just kind of going everywhere. Another thing that I thought was really interesting was like, you know, I think a lot of people on the spectrum like fixate on random details a lot. Something that I kind of do was like, we were getting like pictures taken the other day for something, and we were outside, and I noticed on the ground there was these ants crawling around, and for some reason I just couldn't look away, and I was like, ants, you know, I was focusing on these ants on the ground, and the photographer was like, hey, hello, you know. So that was kind of weird. I guess that is something kind of common. Another thing is, I don't know if like I have like ADHD or something. I don't know. The lines are so blurred that it's hard to say if I have, you know, like ASD or ADHD or whatever. But in school I've always had a really hard time like paying attention to lessons and stuff, because I'd always rather just be thinking about something else or drawing. I think that's probably something really common. And then like probably the last thing is like I kind of briefly touched on like stimming and stuff, how I like pick at my face a lot. There are some times where I'll find myself like rocking back and forth a little bit, or like if I have like something soft in my hands, I'll be petting it and stuff. And I also like, I'm sure all of you have seen those videos on Instagram, like the slime videos and stuff. Those are really calming for me, and if I'm ever picking at my face too bad, then I'll just make myself fixate on that instead. And those are really fun, actually. I actually really enjoy like visual stimming a little bit, you know, because like I like a lot of bright colors, as you can kind of see in my room. And I think that's a probably pretty common thing. So yeah, anyways, I don't I don't know how helpful this video is going to be to anybody at all, because it was just kind of random, and I didn't have anything scripted, and I was just kind of rambling about stuff I've had with, you know, experience. But if you did watch it, I hope you got some enjoyment out of it. Thank you so much for watching if you did. This was just kind of an experiment. I wanted to see, I only, you know, not only wanted to get out of my comfort zone and talk about this on YouTube, but also I kind of wanted to see how, I haven't really had a lot of opportunities to like watch myself do anything, so I thought it would be really kind of interesting to watch how I did stuff in this video and how I talked. So I don't know, if you think this is a good idea and you are on the spectrum as well, then that would be really cool. I'd actually probably really like seeing this video, because I watch a lot of videos on ASD and stuff. So anyways, thanks for watching if you did. This was really awkward. Sorry about that. If I ever do one of these in the future, I'll try to make it a little bit more organized, or I'm talking about a specific subject, but you know, what can you do? Anyways, thank you so much for watching. Bye!